Hey you guys, it's Amy Gretchen. Welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm doing a project life process from 2016 week 36. And I've already got my photos right in the sleeve, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I'm pulling out my Hero Arts Unicorn ink, and that is a pigment ink. And it works really great on top of photos. I've used it on top of photos that I've printed at home with my Epson 400 PM and also with my photos that I've printed at Persnickety Prints. It works really great on both of those, so definitely give that a try. Right now I am using my Kelly Purkey stamps. These are outline stamps, and you'll get an idea of what they look like once they stamp. And what I want to do is repeat stamp over and over again. I just want to add a little something different. I don't think I've ever done this before. And sometimes, you get a little bored with just adding type to a photo or, just the little things that you end up doing over and over again. So I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I'm pulling out these stamps, and I definitely love being able to use my stamps and my supplies. So obviously that one that I used before was Sunday, 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 and this word I'm spelling out is Mexico. My husband spent some time in Mexico with a friend, helping him out. So I'm using I kind of go back and forth a little bit. I use the ruler to help me, but then some of the acrylic letters were getting stuck and it wasn't working out the way that I wanted to. So I pull out my Fiskars, and it ended up working out better anyway because that small acrylic block that I was using was not big enough. So the Fiskars is really great, and I like to be able to just to be able to push it down and know that I'm going to get all of my letters down and get a really good impression. So I end up using it for that, but I also, coming up, you'll see that I end up using that Fiskars for the lines. So I realize at some point the ruler is not working to my advantage, and the Fiskar is going to help me a lot more. So the next word I'm spelling out is homework. And I realize at this point that I need two O's, and fortunately, I end up having two of these same stamps. Now, don't ask me how this happened because I'm not entirely sure, but I did end up ordering two of the Kelly Purkey stamps. So they were far enough apart from each other that I couldn't return one. So I ended up keeping it. And obviously, this is working out really great because I needed two O's and I didn't have to end up stamping it more times than what I needed to. So right now you'll see that I'm kind of wondering why the K looks so weird. And I've decided it's because I'm putting it on backwards. So I need to change it and adjust it so that I'm actually going to print the word right. So I don't know if you guys ever run into those things where it's like your mind can't make the reflection or something like that. So anyway, I do end up getting it right on the photo, and that is what counts. So like I said, I definitely love the way this worked out. I love the repeat, and I love the added texture that it gives. Even in the photo up above where it says Sunday, it didn't come out perfect. The impressions weren't all great, but I actually really loved that. So I didn't mind that happened at all. So I'm throwing the photos in the sleeves, but what you'll see is I've decided that I didn't want the words to be on top of each other, to be in the same plane. So I'm moving those words so they're off from one another. And I do the same with the blue on the other side. I didn't want the blue to be in the same plane, so I'm moving it over just to give just to move your eye through the layout a little bit easier. So I'm working on my title card right now, and I definitely want to use this chipboard. This came from a Studio Calico kit, and I'm trying to decide how I want to put my date. And I don't know if I want it vertical or if I want it horizontal. So at the end of the day, I decide to go horizontal. And now that I'm watching the video, and I tend to do this after I watch the video back, I'm not sure I've made the right decision, but for all intents and purposes, this is good. Like, Honestly, most of the decisions that I make, first of all, this is just a Project Life layout, but most of the decisions that I make could go either way. They're going to be equally well. I do have in my mind wanting things to go just so. I want it to look a very specific way, but sometimes you just have to make a decision and go with it. And that's what I did. And I actually do like the way that it looks. So right now I'm trying to decide, well, I'm kind of going back and forth because I want to add something right there to that photo. For some reason, I wanting to add a little something there. And I'm trying, you saw me before, like write on a photo, kind of practice. And that's one thing that I always kind of wanted to do. And for some reason, I never do. I don't know if I don't like it. I like it when other people do it, but I don't necessarily like when I write on my photos. And it doesn't really make sense because I type on my photos. You can see the photo on the bottom left, there's type on that. So I don't know why I would have such a hard time with just writing on it. I don't end up writing on that photo in the end. I just end up leaving it blank. But maybe that's something that I will try out in the future. So right now I am picking out some cards, some 3x4 cards. I'm using my Studio Calico stash like normal. I definitely have a big stash of Studio Calico cards that I need to get through. And I'm just looking for some journaling cards that I want to use for my stories. This story that I'm writing down here is about my daughter Megan, who really wanted to make some money. And so she contacted some of our neighbors and volunteered to babysit for them. And sure enough, they asked her to. I told her that would be a perfect thing. If I had had girls calling me or texting me, as the case may be, and asking me if I needed a babysitter, I totally would have gone for that. So if you've got girls that are babysitting age, tell them to do that because it works perfectly. Anyway, so I'm just telling that story there in that card, and then I'm just going to add the date stamp to that. So definitely a story that didn't have a photo to go along with it, but something that I wanted to be able to tell from our week. And that's something that I kind of go back and forth with. You can see that I'm pulling out my journal, is looking back and seeing the photos or the stories that I want to tell that didn't have photos with them. And I think I talked about this in another video, but there's just a lot of stuff that happened during the week that you don't have a photo to go with, but they are stories that you want to remember. So there was a lot of sort of random things that happened this week, and I actually don't end up using that random card. I end up ditching it and doing a bullet journaling because there was just so much from this. There's like several things from this week that I wanted to tell. So I end up scrapping that card, which is sad because I really like that card. I might have to see if I can pull the random facts off and doing a bullet journal. And that's what I'm looking for right now. I'm looking for some journaling cards, and this is giving you a better view of how I store my cards. I'm using this box that came from IKEA. I think it's called Dragon, if I'm saying that correctly. It's A-N, not O-N. And I've set it up so I've got my Studio Calico cards on the left, separated by journaling cards and by filler cards. And then on the right, I have some Midnight Edition cards, some cards from Ali Edwards, and then some cards that I made on my own, and just some blank white 3x4 cards because I tend to grab those fairly frequently. And I'm looking for cards that would be good as bullet journaling because that's what I want to do. I want to do some bullet journaling here because I had a handful of stories that I wanted to tell, like I said. So I'm trying to decide how I want to do it. And I did like that card with the red stars, but it was just a little too cream and it was kind of bugging me. I wanted white. So I'm looking for some embellishments to put on top because I didn't want it to just be some bullet journaling. So I'm trying that chipboard and I end up not really loving that. And then I end up pulling out some of my stickers, some word phrases to try to decide like what I want to put on there. I want a little bit more texture, a little bit more color, even though I believe I don't even end up using color in the end other than the stars. But what I do is I go ahead and use this rub-on set that came from a Studio Calico kit, I believe. Most things of mine come from a Studio Calico kit because there's not a lot of scrapbooking stores by me. In fact, I can't even think of one by me right now. So I end up just getting a kit, and it's actually one of the easiest ways to shop. So I really do enjoy getting a kit every month. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish my my journaling. One of the things that you don't end up seeing that I cut off, and not intentionally, it just ended up happening that way. I made a mistake. There was a story that I wanted to tell with the photo there on the right that you can see of me taking a nap. You can kind of see my shoes. And I added it to the bullet journaling, and I realized, oh no, I wanted that to go on its own card. So I cut off the top of the bullet journaling, and then I just stuck it onto another white piece of paper, and then I just redid the journaling. So it wasn't hard to do. Yes, it's cut off in the end. You know, the top is cut off, but it's not that big of a deal. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and add my journaling to this card. I've been working late in my studio, so that's the story that I wanted to tell with that photo. Anyway, you guys, this is the layout for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this process and that you were able to find some inspiration. If you like what you saw, don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Okay, you guys, we will catch you next time. Bye.